Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
Welcome back to Tek-Talks. Today we're going over the Meta Wizard PvP build, but this is going to be a variation. There's a lot to go over, so let's get to it. Alright folks, so let's start with the skills. The skills should look pretty familiar. We have Electrocute, Arcane Wind, Slow Time, Lightning Nova, and Teleport. Okay, let's look at the essences. The first four are going to look very familiar. Like I said, this is the Meta Wizard PvP build. It just is a variant of it. So you have the Facade with the helmet, reducing cooldowns. You have the Coat of the Astrum doing a lot of damage with Nova. Fatoris Ward giving you that shield and the CC negate. And then Stalking Wind. This one's fantastic because of its ability to knock people up. And it has no reliance on potency, so really great. So this is where it starts to change up. So we're using a couple of the new essences. Chisel the Architect, this one is fantastic. This adds a chill effect to Arcane Wind. This is really, really great because the one thing I felt like this build has always been lacking is CC. It doesn't feel right to not CC as a wizard, and getting this Chisel the Architect changed that up. So now Arcane will give them a chill effect, and it's going to pair nicely with Outer Crystal. This is another one that you'll be using offhand. This one is a classic. Arcane Wind now also freezes chilled enemies. So if you're using the Chisel the Architect and Outer Crystal, you'll be getting hard CC with this meta build, with this meta PvP build, instead of just, I think most people use the slow, which wasn't bad. It just it didn't feel good as a wizard to not having that hard CC. Having these paired together will give you that. Next, you're going to use Crackling Rhyme. Because you're getting hard CC on your opponents, you're going to be able to get some nice auto attacks in. And this deals some pretty vicious damage. Chilled or Frozen Electrocutes also cause chilled or frozen enemies to explode, dealing 12,000 or it's X amount of damage, based on whatever your stats are. And then attack and movement speed by 35% reduces them. Really, really nice. And then Radiant Splines. So that's all it for the essences, guys. All right, next let's look at the set pieces. So I'm going to give you guys two different builds. If you are a low resonance or you're getting into the higher like gold, closer to legendary, you might want to switch out the 4-piece Gloom Guide for a 4-piece Mount Bags. That being said, this is the cookie cutter meta PvP build, which is 4-piece Gloom Guide, and then 4-piece or 2-piece Vithus with the 2-piece Baron. Baron's really important now because you do have that hard CC. The variation would be to get rid of the 4-piece Gloom Guide and go with the 4-piece Mount Bank, which wouldn't be... I'd say it's advisable if you're very low resonance or if you're getting smashed a lot. If not, if you want to try to take over games, the Gloom Guide, you'll still take over games with a Mount Back. I've made it to Legend several times now just using Mount Back, and it's fine. But I do like the extra crit that you get from Gloom Guide. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so as far as legendary gems, I never advise in these videos to like switch up gems just because the meta changes, and honestly you should just kind of focus on what you got. That being said, the one gem that is a super low, really is just a 1-star, gets a 10, is Falter Grasp. This will help you out a lot and help you in one-on-one situations, duels. It'll save you, especially because you have damage flying out in every direction. Someone's bound to get touched by it. It can stop, especially the really annoying Tempest or other wizards. Really puts a stop to their dashes, which is really, really nice. So that's the only legendary gem I recommend. Outside of that, folks, I would keep the gems you have. All right, so as far as stats, should be pretty straightforward. Critical hit chance, critical hit damage. It's okay. It's not great. I can definitely do better. Armor penetration is still going to be king. You want high armor penetration. Now that you have hard CC, potency is also, mine's not bad. It's not great. As far as armor resistance, for me personally, I do not care about these stats. And the reason being, I find that like Tempest, or Barbarians, even if they have 1,000 armor penetration below my armor, they still melt me in like a second or two. So armor feels arbitrary for wizards. Same with resistance. It seems like if I get caught in a CC, I'm probably dead anyways. That being said, the two I would focus on would be armor pen for sure, as high as possible, and then potency. And that's it for stats. Okay, as far as affixes go on your gear, the only one I recommend is slow time. This is very difficult to get. You can get them by doing terror rifts, just hoping to get lucky with gear. That being said, I've probably got over 100 legendaries and never got slow time even once. I've done tons and tons of terror rifts. The way I recommend getting it is just go to Charcy, go to item crafting, and then go to fine crafting. It's going to cost you these, but it's worth it. I don't know what else you'd spend them anyways. I would try to get 4 out of 4, or if your buff duration's high enough, you can probably get away with 2 out of 4. I think I probably need at least 3 out of 4 to have 100% uptime in PvP. So go ahead and use a fine craft, and you are going to be crafting to get the slow time affix, okay? So keep that in mind. Okay, so as far as cursed properties go, I would get 6-piece Ghosted. It's really great. It leaves a copy of you behind, and it also gives you a little bit of damage reduction, and it takes some of the damage from you. So really, really nice, great for PvP. It's pretty much useless for you in PvE, but if you're like me, the only thing I really focus on is PvP. I don't really care too much for my PvE. As far as pets, I would stick with the Dusk Prowler. I find the Dusk Prowler, along with your legendary Paragon Benefactor, gives you a lot of survivability, especially if you get the Mount Bank. If you have a Savior pet, that's fantastic. But me personally, and this isn't a hill I'm willing to die on, but me personally, I actually prefer the Dusk Prowler over my pet that has Savior, just because I feel like I get way more value out of those shields. There's so many. I feel like I'm consistently saved, especially when I have dots on me, by the Dusk Prowler more in a battleground than the minute and a half on Savior. So that's a pet I would choose. But if you have a Savior, I won't argue with you. It's better. That's fine. As far as Paragon goes, there's 2 variations. This is the Gladiator one. This is probably the cookie cutter build that everyone probably use. I use it most of the time. If you are going more defensive, I really, really like going into Slayer and picking up the Amplified Shields, all these ones. They are really, really nice, and they pair incredibly well with Mountback and Benefactor. That will make you incredibly tanky. If you look at any of my past PvP videos where I actually have a Battle Mage, I think it's like Battle Mage 2.0, one of my old videos, but I'm using Benefactor with Mountback, and these ones, I made it to Legend and took over a lot of battlegrounds. So one way you can look at this, while the damage is really nice, going back to like the sets, the damage is really nice. If you die, then you're doing no damage. So you might be doing less damage if you were, for instance, to switch out of Gloom Guide, like I had spoken before at the beginning of the video, and do Mount Banks. And you definitely do less damage, but if you're dead, then you do no damage. So same with the Paragons, if you find yourself dying a lot, I would recommend the Mount Bank with Slayer. And then as far as the legendary skills, I would use Benefactor no matter what. That being said, all that nonsense, I'm still probably going to stick to Gladiator most of the time. Maybe as I get closer to Legend, I might switch. Right now I am having a lot of success, so it's one of those things like, hey, let's not try to fix something that's not broken. All right, let's move on. Okay, so as far as playstyle goes, this should look pretty familiar for most of you that are using this build. You're going to be using slow time to reset the cooldowns on your abilities. You're using Lightning Nova and Arcane Wind. Now, the nice thing is this time, Arcane Wind is now putting out hard CC, okay? Remember, you have the new Essence, the Architect, which is giving a chill effect, and then you're pairing it with Elder Crystal. Make sure when you land that CC, when you hit them with that CC, try to get an auto 2 attack in. It deals a lot of damage, especially if they're frozen. Lightning Nova is still going to be, your main damage for sure, but now you have the option of hard CC, which is really, really fantastic. Teleport is your hard CC as well. It's a knockup. You can use it offensively or defensively. I lean more use it defensively. A lot of times you'll see wizards on YouTube that are like 7, 8K, and they're using this build and they're taking over games, and they're great. The thing is, they have 7 or 8K resonance and they have super high armor. Most of us do not have that. So you teleporting into a group to land that CC might get you killed. In fact, I would say over half the time you're going to die right after you do that. So what I like to do is I will have slow time up and I will actually just teleport around on the outside to get that 15% crit and the damage buff. And then I'm just launching from range, staying back. I rarely will teleport in. And then you can also use it, when you're in a duel situation. But yeah, that's it for playstyle. Really use Arcane Wind like crazy. It is fantastic now that it has that hard CC, and then you're going to be using Electrocute to get that offhand big damage bonus. That's it as far as playstyle. All right, folks, here we are at the end of the video. This is a really, really fun build. It's the meta wizard build where you're able to mow people down, which is what everyone loves, taking over games. That's especially going to help you climb to legend. You can climb to legend as support, but it's very difficult and annoying. A lot of times you have like a lot of ping pong action where you win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Really frustrating. Having this build gives you the ability to take over games, go 10, 15, and 0 or whatever, whatever that score is that takes over a game. But now, though, you do have that hard CC thanks to the new essences, and it gives you a lot of new options. Anyways, folks, I will put up a battleground as usual, and that's it. I'll quit yapping. I've been going on for a while now.